Hello everyone, it's me Clayton. I just finished watching Bastard. Well, the first 13 episodes of it at least. The new Netflix anime series that's actually a remake of an OVA series that didn't get as far as the anime has gotten so far. So, what is Bastard anyways? Well, it's an old manga series from the 1980s that got an OVA for the first few dozen or so chapters back in the 90s. And it happens to be a series that inspired a lot of dark fantasy anime from that point on. So, what's it all about? Well, apparently the Earth has been turned into a crazy kingdom known as Metallicana, mainly because of this mainly because of this goddess who descended from the heavens and who happened to fight this dragon thing. And and yeah, the whole world is now in a post-apocalyptic situation. But when the kingdom of Metallicana is under peril, a young woman named Yoko has to break a seal that's on her friend Lucian by by kissing him to transform him into his second personality. Basically, inside Lucian is the personality of an insane and extremely evil, but also highly entertaining sorcerer named Dark Schneider. And the series follows Schneider as he fights ninjas, demons, monsters, uh, evil sorcerers, all that stuff you'd expect from a really cool shonen manga. And throughout its first 13 episodes, he faces off against the four heavenly kings, one of which happens to be his adopted daughter. But that's all I'll say about the story. It certainly does feel like it's extremely old school when it comes to how it handles its violent and sexual content, but that should be expected since the original source material was made all the way back in the 80s. So, for people who want that sort of old school edginess, it certainly happens to fulfill that idea. Though, when I say it's a dark fantasy, I should say that you shouldn't expect the storytelling, the efficient storytelling, or the incredible writing of something like Berserk. It's more like JoJo with more horniness. That's how I describe it. It has the insanely muscled protagonist who happens to be naked in a ton of scenes. It has all the ridiculous powers, most of which are named after metal bands or have some kind of metal references. And it happens to have ecchi that I'm sure Twitter will be absolutely outraged over. But honestly, after seeing a lot of ecchi anime in my time, most of the stuff here is actually tamer than I thought it would be. Oh, don't get me wrong, the women in the series certainly are attractive, and the anime makes no attempt to show otherwise, but the female characters are actually portrayed in an okay fashion for the 80s. What I mean by that is, yes, they're objectified constantly. But if you see a lot of heavy metal albums, which obviously the series was inspired off of, you'd see that I'm pretty sure it's just the manga author basing his designs and the story off of the various metal albums that he saw. So I see it less as him hating women and more so just a way to recreate that kind of atmosphere. And he does so with absolutely no limiters. And the anime does happen to do well with that, at least when the animation quality is consistent. Because when the show looks good, it looks really good. But there are some off model shots, some still frames that feel like they're a cause of a medium sized budget, and while some of the fight scenes are awesome, others can feel a little underwhelming. But a lot of that is helped with Dark Schneider himself as a protagonist. He is pretty much like Anos Voldegode times 10, extremely full of himself, absurdly confident, and always in your face. And he's kind of a joy to watch because of that, even if he does truly awful things throughout the story. He is an evil sorcerer, after all. But it should be stated that this isn't the entire story. The manga isn't finished, even after 27 volumes, and this is only 13 episodes, with 11 more that are still planned in the future. So it does end on a cliffhanger, but if you're okay with that, I do think it's a rockin' good time. If you can handle some middling animation quality and some elements in the humor and fan service that might not hold up as well in 2022. So that's why I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. See you next time.